I work at a flower shop, push petals like some of us petal weeds, and if you ask us to compare, I can say for certain that mine is the criminal occupation. In a way, that's really what it is, an occupation. Territory claimed like it always is by lineage. Lines fragmenting land like blood, like borders, like rows scraped into stolen soil, like soil can be owned to be stolen in the first place. Water channeled through a maze of 90-degree angles, like water can be owned to be sold in the first place. And all this for a plant that is neither nutritional nor medicinal, just looked at. So I guess it's fitting that my favorite flower is the peony. In China, where they first grew wild, they're considered to be the king of flowers. Gardens full first domesticated for dynasties, to be inherited by generation after generation of royalty. Petal prosperity protected for emperors whose people were suffering famine and drought. I'm convinced this is the perfect metaphor for a history of colonial consumption. Actually, it's more than just a metaphor. This shit's still happening. Soil sucked of nutrients, force-fed fertilizers, pesticides, soaks through the skin of the women who plant, grow, harvest, so they unknowingly sacrifice their own fertility, and with 3 times as many miscarriages, so we can celebrate birthdays, decorate nurseries. Soil sucked of nutrients, force-fed fertilizers, pesticides, like these waters won't run wild with them, poison whole peoples, like these wages won't bankrupt them, starve whole countrysides. But it's not like that matters to us. Not from all the way over here, anyway. They tell us we're the generation of globalization, but these borders are carved into consciousness by bloodlines. Neurons tuned over time to the vertical vision of family first. It's no wonder we're so easily blinded by imaginary lines. These blinders passed on by our parents' inheritance, the spoils of their wars, and even though they're still spoiling, it should smell so foul by now, we just keep covering caskets in sweet-smelling flowers, convince ourselves we can keep decay at a distance. And I'm guilty of this denial too. Remember, my favorite flower is the peony. They only have a 2-week season, so they're shipped in from a different Latin American countryside each week, come in as tightly packed buds, bloom into wisps of white, pink, purples, and geometric bliss like calculus kernel into petal popcorn, infused with sweet perfume like warm honey drizzle, and like all salty sweet snacks, it's over too fast. Petals fall in a flutter all at once. It's the quietest thunder I've ever heard, the sound of rain welcoming rot, and that sour smell of spoilage. And this is why flower shops have regulars. Like smokers pay the burn of bronchial trees first thing in the morning to clear out phlegm hacked up from the very same habit, as flower fiends crave something fresh to cleanse our palate of putrid petal flesh. And I'm convinced this floral addiction is the perfect metaphor for a history of colonial consumption. Actually, it's more than just a metaphor. This shit's really happening.